Right. So you want to understand what's going on with Indian politics, but who really has time to get lost in, all the tiny little details.
Right.
So today we are doing a comparison between the two big parties in India, the BJP and the INC,
Exactly.
the Bharatiya Janata Party, and
Yeah.
the Indian National Congress.
The two big elephants in the room.
Yes. And we've got a structured overview here to help us out. And our goal is basically to give you like a really clear picture of what makes them tick, especially now in 2025.
Yeah, the core fundamentals of how they operate.
Yeah.
What sets them apart.
Yeah. So first of all, their histories are obviously quite different.
Absolutely.
Congress goes way, way back to like the 19th century, 1885.
1885 for Congress, 1980 for BJP. So
Yeah.
quite a gap there.
Huge difference. So like, does that even still matter?
It matters hugely because Congress has that legacy of leading India's independence movement, which kind of baked in a certain set of principles and values into their DNA. Whereas the BJP, coming onto the scene much later, sort of built its foundation on a different ideology, a more Hindu nationalist ideology,
Yeah.
often referred to as Hindutva.
Right. So we should probably clarify that like when we say Hindu nationalism, we're not saying that Congress is anti-Hindu.
Of course not.
It's more like their approach is,
It's a question of emphasis,
yeah.
where their priorities lie
Yeah. And just the role of religion in
the state.
yeah, state.
Yeah.
So Congress being more secular and the BJP leaning more towards, that Hindu nationalist perspective.
Yeah. So how would you categorize them, like if we had to put them on a spectrum?
So broadly speaking, you could place the BJP on the right wing of the spectrum.
Right.
They advocate for this Hindu nationalism, as we discussed, and also tend to favor a pro-business environment.
Okay.
Congress, on the other hand, generally falls on the center left,
Okay.
with an emphasis on secularism and what we might call a socialist democratic approach. Okay, so those are their like core beliefs. How do those actually translate to like policies and, things that they do?
So, you got to look at their economic policies for one.
Yeah.
The BJP has really championed market-driven reforms and privatization.
Right.
Think initiatives like Make It India,
Yeah.
really focused on infrastructure development, attracting foreign investment.
Okay.
Congress historically has leaned more towards government-led welfare programs
Okay.
and providing support for the agricultural sector.
So focusing on the people.
Yeah, with an eye towards social equity.
Okay. Interesting.
And then you look at their cultural policies, right?
Yeah.
The BJP really emphasizes cultural nationalism, right?
Huh.
Advocating for things like a uniform civil code,
Right.
which would mean applying the same set of laws to all citizens regardless of their religion.
Yeah.
Congress, on the other hand, staunchly defends secularism and the protection of minority rights.
So different approaches.
Absolutely.
It seems like even their leadership styles are different.
Yeah, you could say that the BJP operates with a very strong centralized kind of leadership.
Right.
Think Modi, think Shah.
Yeah.
Right. Really strong figures.
Yeah. Very top down.
Very top down, exactly.
Okay.
Whereas Congress, while it's had some very prominent leaders, it's often been characterized by a more family-influenced structure.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Gandhis.
Yeah, the Gandhis, exactly. So you see that reflected in their key leaders right now.
Yeah.
For the BJP, you've got Modi, Shah, and Adityanath.
Yeah.
On the Congress side, you've got Sonia and Rahul Gandhi, as well as Karji.
They've got different kinds of supporters, right?
Different bases, yeah.
Different demographics who votes for these different parties.
So the BJP tends to draw a lot of its support from the urban middle class, the business community,
Okay.
people from upper caste backgrounds, younger voters, particularly in the north and west of the country.
Okay. So kind of a new India.
Yeah, a new India rising.
Okay.
Whereas Congress's traditional base has been more rooted in rural population, religious minorities, Dalits, and intellectuals.
Okay. And, the slogans that these parties use actually tell us a lot.
Oh, they're fascinating.
Yeah.
Like little windows into their philosophies.
Yeah.
So the BJP has this slogan, Sabka Sath Sabka Vikas,
Yeah.
which basically translates to collective efforts, inclusive growth.
Yeah.
Everyone together, everyone benefits.
Yeah.
Whereas Congress's old slogan, Garibi Hatao, was all about poverty alleviation.
Right.
Really focused on that.
Yeah. And they've kind of adapted that over the years, but it's still got that same
That core idea of social justice
Yeah.
and uplifting the disadvantaged.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at recent elections, 2014, 2019, there's a pretty clear story there.
Yeah, there's been a shift.
Right.
The BJP has seen these really really significant victories in both of those election cycles.
Yeah, they kind of swept the board.
They secured a strong national mandate.
Yeah.
Congress, on the other hand, saw a decline in its performance in those elections.
Okay, so fast forward to now 2025. What are these parties focused on right now?
So the BJP is currently prioritizing nationalism.
Okay.
Its Digital India push.
Right.
And this long-term Viksit Bharat 2047 vision,
Yeah.
really highlighting India's growing role on the global stage.
Yeah, looking ahead to the future.
Yeah, projecting strength and development. Congress, on the other hand, is focusing more on immediate concerns like inflation.
Okay, yeah, that's a big issue.
A huge issue.
Yeah.
Unemployment,
Right.
farmers' issues, and upholding those core constitutional values.
Okay, so more of like the day-to-day concerns.
Yeah, bread and butter issues.
Yeah, so, every political party has its critics
Of course.
and its controversies.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that are said about these parties? Like, even if they're not, necessarily true, what are the points that are raised about them?
Yeah, so the BJP has faced accusations regarding authoritarian tendencies,
Right.
concerns about whether they're maybe concentrating power too much, and there are also concerns about their approach to religious minorities, whether it's truly as inclusive as their slogans might suggest.
So fostering communal politics.
Yes, that's a point that's often raised.
Okay. What about Congress?
Congress has been criticized for what some perceive as dynastic leadership,
Right.
this reliance on the Gandhi family, and there have been allegations of corruption that have plagued them over the years.
Right.
Again, these are just points that are raised and discussed in the political landscape.
We're just reporting on what is said.
Exactly, just trying to give you a full picture so
Yeah.
you can form your own opinions.
And they even campaign differently.
Right.
Like, they're not the same when it comes to actually getting people to vote for them.
Yeah, their styles are very different.
Yeah.
The BJP often rallies around these charismatic leaders,
Oh.
Modi especially.
Yeah.
They've got this huge digital presence,
Right.
really savvy with social media,
Yeah.
and they've got the organizational strength of the RSS backing them up.
The RSS. So that's like
A volunteer organization. Right.
with deep roots in communities across the country.
A lot of manpower.
Yeah, boots on the ground.
Okay, what about Congress?
Congress tends to be more reliant on its kind of traditional party structure, this vast network they've built up over decades.
Right.
But they sometimes face challenges, in terms of cohesive communication.
So not as like trendy and modern.
Not as quick to adapt, maybe,
Yeah.
to the changing media landscape.
But I mean, they must have some things in common.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of the day,
Right.
they're both committed to India's democratic framework.
Right.
They both aspire to national development.
Yeah, they want what's best for India.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just their strategies
Yeah.
for achieving these goals, their ideologies that really differ.
So as of right now, like 2025,
Right now, the BJP is in a dominant position.
they're the ones in power.
They are.
Yeah.
And Congress is actively working to rebuild,
To regain some of that power.
regain influence.
Yeah. By forming alliances, focusing on specific issues, really trying to connect with the electorate.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I feel like we've given our listeners like a much clearer picture of what these two parties are all about, like their core beliefs, how they approach policy, who supports them, what you're focused on.
Yeah, you've got the fundamentals now.
Yeah, so considering all this, how do you think it's going to play out? I mean, India is facing some big challenges. Like, what are the key policy areas that you think are going to be super important in shaping India's future? And how do you think the BJP and Congress are going to approach them?
It's a fascinating question to think about.
Yeah, and I hope our listeners will think about it too.
Absolutely, because as you follow Indian politics going forward, as you see these debates unfold, you'll have that deeper understanding.
Yeah, a deeper understanding of what's really going on.
Exactly. Who's saying what and why.
Yeah. All right, great stuff as always.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.